Each of these pictures may be worth 1,000 words, but even when you put them together, there's still not enough to tell the story of Ronnie Anderson. This one describes Ronnie Anderson, the farmer, who at one time grew corn, wheat, soybeans, and Milo. This one tells his story as a family man who married his high school sweetheart he took horseback riding on a cold January Sunday for their first date. This one speaks about the early mornings and hard days of milking 120 dairy cows in East and West Feliciana parishes. And this one, it tells of a man so dedicated to agriculture that he would volunteer 31 years of his life to lead the state's largest general farm organization, the Louisiana Farm Bureau. Elected president July 13, 1989, at the age of 41, Anderson followed the second longest-serving president of the Louisiana Farm Bureau, Jimmy Gronyard, who chose not to run again. Following a contentious election, Anderson called for unity.
Now's the time for us to mend our fences, put our voice back together as one, and proceed and to accomplish the good things that Farm Bureau was established for and what we now have been elected to try to perform.
Perform he did after being told by Gronyard of the demands that position brings.
You have a lot of responsibility, and all I'm saying is use it wisely. And I know you can and do a good job, and I'll help you any way I can. Thank you, Ronnie.
The demands that are put on the whole organization, but especially the president, is kind of overwhelming.
Back in 1989, his wife, Vivian, spoke about knowing her husband would be away from her and their children, Aaron and Ron Jr., for extended periods of time.
I've been home this summer, so I've enjoyed seeing him get ready to go to the office and go off to do things like that. But now starting school, because I'm a teacher and all, I'm sure we'll find out, or we'll meet ourselves coming and going a whole lot.
You might not know that, but Ronnie probably did at least 200 days a year working for Farm Bureau, and that was his volunteer job.
It was pretty amazing how he was able to delegate and manage and keep all those things going, and me as a child never knew or never even noticed how much he had going on.
It was always just a part of life and a part of what he did. I mean, he was a farmer, and then he had, his responsibilities with Farm Bureau, and it just was what life was like.
I don't know what's in store here.
Retired Louisiana Farm Bureau assistant to the president, Jim Monroe, has known Ronnie Anderson for more than 50 years, going back to college at LSU. 30 of those years, Monroe spent as Ronnie's right-hand man, driving him across the state to various meetings.
We had great conversations. We talked over the issues that we had to deal with. He was on the phone about 90% of the time. Then on the way back, he was asleep.
We wouldn't talk to each other before we went to the office, but we'd show up at the office with the same color pants, same color shirt, and not any connection with talking to each other about what we were going to wear. It got to be scary, really.
Louisiana Farm Bureau President Jim Harper says under Ronnie Anderson's leadership, membership grew from about 64,000 to 148,000. And with that came significant influence.
During Ronnie's presidency, our membership grew to over 140,000 members. We've got more influence in Baton Rouge at the Capitol and in Washington than we've ever had.
Ronnie Anderson seemed to be going out on top. The Louisiana Farm Bureau won the Pinnacle Award at the American Farm Bureau Convention in January of 2020. Anderson announced his plans to retire and not seek re-election in February of that year. Just 3 days before Ronnie Anderson's birthday, he began having trouble breathing and could not get out of bed.
When I got sick, I went in the hospital on March 18th.
The morning that Ron was here and we had to call the ambulance to take Ronnie to the hospital, our lives changed entirely.
Doctors at Baton Rouge General Hospital diagnosed Ronnie with COVID-19.
When he left in that ambulance, we had no idea that we would never see him again that day, and then two, it would be months before we would ever have any other interaction with him where he was conscious and see him.
The doctors put Ronnie Anderson into a medically induced coma and hooked him up to a ventilator to breathe for him. Vivian posted updates on Facebook, which were compiled into this book. Ronnie was in that coma for more than 30 days. Talking about it now, he says there are only 2 things he remembers from the time he was in the coma.
My mother died in 2000. That was 20 years before I got sick. And she and I sat on her porch in the rockers and drank coffee. It's just clear as you and I standing here talking to each other. And the other thing was, I was in a really dark area, and off to the side I could see this big, it looked like a door. It was a big square thing, and it was dark, but it had a rim of light around it. And I don't want to get too carried away with where I was and where I came back from, but I think if that door had opened and I had passed through it, I wouldn't be here today.
I was really concerned. I had a call one Saturday afternoon that gave me grave concern.
That was the day doctors shocked Ronnie's heart to keep him alive. Vivian, Aaron, and Ron put out a call for prayers. Pray for Ronnie every day at 3:21 p.m.
When the doctors called that particular Saturday morning and said, we've done everything we know to do, Ronnie needs a miracle. And lo and behold, we got that miracle.
This is video of that miracle Aaron shot on her phone the day Ronnie Anderson was rolled out of Baton Rouge General Hospital to begin recovery at Promise Rehabilitation Hospital. And here he is, 78 days after the first ambulance ride, walking out on his own.
The day he came home, I don't think I've ever seen our children happier than that day.
Looking back, it still seems unreal. It almost seems like I was observing it from the outside. And it's hard to believe it's been nearly a year now that it all began. But I think it's been a blessing in a way that it's made us all more conscious of family and the importance of family and the importance of, saying, I love you every day and being in contact with each other every day.
It was a time that when you reflect upon it, you can do one of 2 things. You can cry about it, or you can be joyful that Ronnie's here with us today, and I choose to be joyful.
The Andersons are joyful for each other and that all are here to witness Ronnie Anderson's induction into the Louisiana Agriculture Hall of Distinction.
Having it bestowed on Ronnie this year after all he's been through, I think is really special. Not only for him personally, but for our family to see him honored this way. Because Ronnie really has, in my opinion, served the agricultural community over the years. He's been an advocate for farmers, an advocate for agriculture in general, and he's told the Farm Bureau story, and to me, he is the epitome of the Farm Bureau.
By the way, Ronnie Anderson continues to be involved in Farm Bureau as an ex officio member of the Board of Directors. He's also on the LSU Board of Supervisors and the Southern Farm Bureau Casualty Insurance Company Board. Now, if you want to watch the Louisiana Agriculture Hall of Distinction ceremony in its entirety, you can find a link on our website, twilatv.org. Still to come on Twila, the iconic Blue Jackets. Where do they come from? We find out next in the Twila Boost.